Hello, let's do Wordle number 942. And for the action verbs theme, I'm going to rant about that for a bit. I hope you're enjoying these rants sections. Someone mentioned it's not really ranting, but some of them might be more rantful than others. So anyway, what do I want to talk about with action verbs? It took me a bit to think of something, but I think I've thought of something interesting to talk about. So this happens in English a lot. I'm not sure if it happens in other languages, probably does. But nouns will become verbs. So this is a phenomenon called anthemeria, which actually is a more generic term to mean using a word in a different part of speech, but it's very common to verb nouns, as it were. So what I want to talk about specifically, though, is brand names becoming verbs. I'm going to list off some examples and you'll go, I know exactly what you mean. Google, Photoshop, Skype, Uber, Xerox, Taser, Venmo, FedEx, Hoover, TiVo, Zoom. Yeah, you can use all of those as verbs, and this is kind of an interesting phenomenon. Like you can say, hey, go Google it. Sometimes they even become a bit generic. Like if you say, hey, I photoshopped that image, it doesn't necessarily mean that you used Adobe Software's Photoshop software. They would like it to only mean that. Googling can sometimes mean searching using a different search engine. Skyping can be a generic term. It's kind of fallen out of style though. And, you might Uber somewhere using the Lyft app, right? Because Lyft was cheaper, but you still Ubered it. You can Xerox something using a copy machine of a different brand. So yeah. So why does this happen? And it's because linguistics changes. It's affected by cultural shifts. It's affected by new technology. It's affected by the needs of the people who are speaking the language, right? Language isn't static, it's dynamic. It adapts to how the world and culture changes. And there's always going to be people who push against that, saying that language is prescriptive. But I think language is descriptive. We use language as a tool, and as such, it needs to adapt to how we need to use it. But let's talk more about this generic verse specific thing. Do you think companies should encourage this or discourage this? Well, it's a debate, and I don't think there's a right answer to that. I'm not going to give you an answer, but I will talk about it a bit. So obviously, one of the big benefits is it can grant market dominance, right? So if Google becomes the term for searching, then that might cause people to use Google in order to search more often than they would have if there was just a generic internet search nomenclature. But if someone says, hey, go Google that, there is a bit of an implication that they should use google.com to do it. Are they going to go to Bing to do it? Are they going to go to other search engines to do that? Maybe, maybe not, but it could help with market dominance. It keeps the brand in the zeitgeist. It keeps the brand popular. If it's a part of speech at that point, like how can that brand ever fall out of consciousness of society? But it also can put the brand in danger. You ever heard of Zipper or Band-Aid or Kleenex? Have you ever used those when it is not the brand Zipper, the brand for Band-Aid, or the brand for Kleenex? Have you bought Puffs and said, hey, hand me a Kleenex? So if that happens, that's called genericide, where the brand name becomes the name of the more generic product. So this isn't always necessarily with verbs, right? Now we're talking more generically here, but it can have legal ramifications, and it can have legal ramifications whether it's used as a noun, like, hey, hand me a Kleenex, or whether it's used as a verb, like, hey, hoover the carpet, or hey, zip that up, right? That comes from the Zipper brand. And the legal ramification is they can lose their trademark. It has happened. It happened to Aspirin. Aspirin, they lost their trademark, and Escalator lost their trademark. Any company can use those to refer to that drug and that moving stair system. So there is a phenomenon where companies will actually run advertising campaigns encouraging people not to do this. Like, I remember Adobe had an advertising campaign saying, hey, don't say Photoshop it, say I altered the image with Photoshop. software with Adobe Photoshop. Like, no one's going to do that, but they're trying to push against that. And I don't think they can actually change the public consciousness. But I do think they can argue in court that they are trying to preserve their trademark, which can help. So can you think of more examples of this? Do you think that when a brand name becomes generified like that or becomes a verb, should that appear in word games, right? Should that be in Scrabble? Should that be an accepted word in Wordle? How generic does it have to become before it is accepted that way? So anyway, food for thought there. I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments, and I am going to solve this Wordle now. And Anirudh suggested that I start with solve because I am currently doing the act of solving, and then right after this, edits, because I'm going to have to edit this video. All right, well, an O second, there's a T. We got rid of the L and the S, which is good. We got rid of the E, also very good. Okay, so my initial thought is just to put the T at the start, and let's see what options there are. There's torch. Torch is a noun and a verb, so maybe that's a good one. Torch, you can torch something. That's an action. Whoa, okay. So even though that wasn't the answer, that gave a lot of info. Court? We were just talking about how you have to preserve your trademark. The courts can take your trademark away if through no fault of your own you became too popular. So there we go. Hey, kind of thematic, right? Court is also an action verb. So it's a noun and a verb. You can court someone. So awesome. That worked out pretty well. So yeah, let me know in the comments how you felt about today's rant, how you did on the Wordle, anything else. And I'm going to spin the wheel of themes and see what tomorrow's theme will be. All right, Diablo, the video game, suggested by Marinjock. It's a little known thing that I used to play Diablo 3 quite a lot. I also played Diablo 2 when I was younger. I played all the Diablo games quite a bit, actually. I like that franchise quite a bit. So 2 words related to that video game in some way. And of course, if you enjoyed this, then why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.